Let us discuss the module Plant Kingdom. In previous class we have completed with Animal Kingdom. So already I told you, according to Whittaker's Five Kingdom classification, the kingdom Plantae includes what? It includes all the eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms. So that's why if you ask me what are plants, my answer is like this. Plants are nothing but eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms, as their cells are provided with the green pigment, that is chlorophyll. They can trap the solar radiation, they can fix atmospheric CO2 and perform an important function called photosynthesis. So as they can synthesize their own food materials, they are popularly called autotrophs, isn't it? So plants are nothing but autotrophs. Like based on mode of nutrition, plants fall under the category of what? Multicellular autotrophs. What do you mean by autotrophs? Organisms which can synthesize their own food materials are called autotrophs. So it is very clear, these are eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms. Chlorophyll is the green pigment involved in the process of photosynthesis. By performing photosynthesis, they can synthesize their own food materials. That's why they are called autotrophs. Okay. So based on the body structure, so normally whenever we talk about a plant, as you all know, plant means always we think about presence of roots, presence of stem, leaves, branches, flowers. But this is not true for all the plants. Okay. So there are very primitive plants, algae, bryophytes, etc. And algae can be, they do not have any plant-like structure. Simply they appear like cells. They live in colonies. But next group of plants, that is bryophytes. Bryophytes, they are based on body structure. We can call them thallophytes because they have thalloid body. So body of a bryophyte is called thallus. What do you mean by a thallus? Undifferentiated plant body. Means when you are observing a bryophyte like Marchantia, Funaria, etc., you don't find structures called roots, leaves, stem, etc. So plant body is not differentiated into structures like roots, stem and leaves, and such type of plant body is called thallus, and such plants are called thallophytes. Best example, bryophytes. So next coming up with the tracheophytes basic. Tracheophytes are the plants whose bodies are differentiated into what? The structures like roots, stem and leaves. You can see only from pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. In pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms, bodies are differentiated into structures like roots, stem and leaves. But in bryophytes, you don't find such differentiated body. So undifferentiated plant body is called thallus, and such type of plants are called thallophytes. If the body of a plant is differentiated into structures like roots, stem and leaves, such plants are commonly called tracheophytes. Okay. So next, based on presence or absence of the vascular tissues. At your schooling you have studied in the body of a plant, the two types of vascular tissues present are xylem and phloem. So xylem is the water conducting tissue, phloem is the food conducting tissue. So xylem and phloem together called vascular tissues present in the plant body. But these vascular tissues once again not present in all the plants. When you look into algae and bryophytes, xylem and phloem are absent. That's why they are called non-vascular plants. The plants without vascular tissues. What are the vascular tissues? Xylem and phloem. Such plants are called non-vascular. Again you can take the example of bryophytes only. So bryophytes are the best example for non-vascular plants, because in bryophytes you don't find the structures like xylem and phloem. So remaining are vascular plants. Like vascular plants are pteridophytes, gymnosperms, are provided with the vascular tissues like xylem and phloem. So they fall under the category of vascular plants. So in this way, based on whether the plant body is differentiated or undifferentiated, we have classified plants into what? Thallophytes and tracheophytes. Based on presence or absence of the vascular tissues, plants are of two types, that is non-vascular plants and vascular plants. For non-vascular plants, bryophytes is the example. Why do we call bryophytes as non-vascular? Because vascular tissues, xylem and phloem are absent. So the first vascular plants in the plant kingdom, they are the pteridophytes. So next, more advanced plants are gymnosperms, and most of the plants what we see in our everyday life which produce the flowers, the flowering plants are nothing but the angiosperms. Okay. So finally, when we look into the life cycle of a plant, usually in the life cycle of plant, two stages are present. The two stages or phases present in the life cycle of a plant, that is sporophyte and gametophyte. This sporophyte is diploid, gametophyte is haploid. So once again, these names diploid and haploid, they are based on the chromosomal complement. So diploid in the sense, inside the cell nucleus, two sets of chromosomes should be present. So here, students should not confuse between number and set. For example, you know, humans, what is the number of chromosomes means? All of you know that you say 46. But correctly we have to call it what? 23 pairs. But 23 pairs of chromosomes are arranged into how many sets actually? Only two sets. In each set, 23 chromosomes are present, and every set is represented by what? N. So that's why we write it as 2n. So 2n chromosomal complement means inside each cell nucleus, irrespective of the number, all the chromosomes should be arranged into only two sets. That condition is called diploid. Okay. So next here you see haploid. What does it mean? Inside the cell nucleus, all the chromosomes should be arranged into only one set, and each set of chromosomes is represented with letter Ni set. So simply in biology, when you are writing 2n, you should understand that that cell is said to be diploid. What is the meaning of a diploid cell? Inside that cell nucleus, all the chromosomes are arranged into two sets. Each set is represented as n. So that's why we write diploid condition as what? 2n. Sometimes inside a cell nucleus, all the chromosomes are arranged into single set or only one set. That condition is called haploid. So in the life cycle of a plant, usually there are two stages called sporophyte and gametophyte. Sporophyte is diploid in nature, gametophyte is haploid in nature. And these two stages alternate with each other. Means sporophyte forms the gametophyte and gametophyte forms the sporophyte, and this phenomenon is called alternation of generations. Like, what is alternation of generations in the life cycle of a plant? Usually in the life cycle of a plant, two phases are present, namely diploid sporophyte and haploid gametophyte. In most of the plants, these two phases alternate with each other. So that phenomena is called alternation of generations. Okay. So this is about general information about unicell, like eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms. Eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms are nothing but plants. They are all included in the kingdom plantae. Okay. So based on the mode of nutrition, plants fall under the category of what? Autotrophs, because they can synthesize their own food materials. How can they synthesize their own food materials? Because they are provided with a green pigment, that is chlorophyll, which can trap the solar radiation and can fix the atmospheric CO2. Glucose etc. can be synthesized in a vital process called photosynthesis. That's why they are autotrophs. Okay. So based on the body structure, plants can be thallophytes and tracheophytes. What is a thallophyte? Plant whose body is undifferentiated. So when the plant body is differentiated into root, stem and leaves, etc., such bodies are called tracheophytes. Once again, based on presence or absence of the vascular tissues. Which are the two vascular tissues? Xylem and phloem. So if xylem and phloem are absent, such plants are called non-vascular plants. If xylem and phloem are present, they are called vascular plants. So directly you can remember, bryophytes are the best examples for non-vascular. Pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms are vascular plants. What is alternation of generation in the plant life cycle? In the life cycles of most of the plants, two phases called diploid sporophyte and haploid gametophyte are present, and these two phases alternate with each other. This phenomena is called alternation of generations. Okay, so till now we understood what exactly plants and general characters of plants. So let us know what are the types of plants existing on the planet Earth. So 5 types of plants which we know or which are included in the plant kingdom are algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. So what are algae? So algae are the most primitive plants. They appear like cells only, and most of the algae are aquatic in habitat, means rarely we find algae on the soil. So most of the algae prefer to live in the water. So these are the most primitive plants, but still they are eukaryotic, and provided with the chlorophyll they can perform photosynthesis. Means nobody can find out by looking the alga. You will never find that it is a plant. But what condition is satisfied by them? They are eukaryotic cells provided with the chlorophyll. They can perform photosynthesis. That's why you must include them under plant kingdom only. So that's why algae are aquatic, eukaryotic, chlorophyll containing organisms which can perform photosynthesis. And the common examples I have written here, that is Volvox and Spirogyra, means algae can be colonial, means they live in a group, they live in a colony. Example for colonial alga is Volvox, and they can extend like a filaments in the water. So Spirogyra is the example for a filamentous alga. Okay, and one more point students should remember this word. Lichens. Like lichens, definition is that it is the symbiotic association between algae and fungi. Means algae are actually present in water, but very few algae we can see on the presence of damp soil or on the damp wood. On the moist rock surface also algae can grow. Rarely algae forms a symbiotic association with fungi. The symbiotic association with fungi is called lichens. Understand? So symbiosis is a type of association where both partners are mutually benefited. We use the word mutualism, the type of interaction in which both partners are benefited. So such symbiotic association is called lichens, in which algae and fungi live together and both partners are mutually benefited. Okay, so that is about algae which you have to remember. And next, coming to bryophytes, I already told you bryophytes fall under the category of what? Thallophytes, and they fall under the category of avascular plants, because in bryophytes body is not differentiated into root-like, leaf-like, stem-like structures. So simply I can tell you, root-like, leaf-like, stem-like structures are absent. Body is flat and it is present attached to surface of rocks, etc. So such undifferentiated plant body is called thallus. And in bryophytes, xylem and phloem are also absent. So that's why these are the plants with thallus-like body, and these are the avascular plants. Okay, so they include liverworts and mosses. So based on some structural differences, we classify them into liverworts and mosses. I have written here. inertia, and for masses example is Fudaria. And importantly, students should remember, bryophytes are popularly called known as amphibians of the plant kingdom because bryophytes can survive on the land or bryophytes can survive on soil, but bryophytes cannot complete their reproduction without water. So for reproduction, water is essential for bryophytes. So they can survive on land, but they cannot reproduce without water. So that's why bryophytes are popularly known as amphibians of the plant kingdom. Okay. So next, coming to pteridophytes. So students should remember, in the plant kingdom, the first vascular plants, because in bryophytes I said they are avascular plants, xylem and phloem are absent. So if the question is asked, xylem and phloem appeared for the first time in what? Pteridophyte. So the first avascular plants, so body is differentiated into root-like, leaf-like, stem-like structures, and they include ferns and horsetails. Like based on body structure, we give those names. We can discuss in detail later. So ferns and horsetails are included in pteridophytes. What is the speciality of pteridophytes? Tell me. These are the first vascular plants, but do not produce the seed. Understand? Because seed formation appeared for the first time in gymnosperms. So they look like plants, but they never produce the seeds. And vascular tissues like xylem and phloem are appeared for the first time. And pteridophytes normally includes what? Ferns and horsetails. Here I have written some common examples for pteridophytes. They are Selaginella, Equisetum and Adiantum. So the Selaginella, Equisetum and Adiantum are the examples for pteridophytes. Okay. So next, gymnosperms. Gymnosperms is the combination of two words. Gymnosperms is the combination of two words, namely gymno means naked, sperma means seed. So seed habit appeared for the first time, or seed formation appeared for the first time in gymnosperms, but in gymnosperms seeds are not covered by the ovary. So if you remember, whatever the fruit we eat, actually fruit is nothing but which part of the flower? Ovary of the flower after fertilization develops into fruit, and within the fruit what are present? Seeds are present. Actually ovules develop into seeds, ovary develops into fruit. So that's why whatever the fruits we eat, seeds are not exposed, right? So seeds are always covered by the fruit wall. When you open the fruit wall only you can see the seeds inside, but you don't find that fruit wall or ovary in what? Gymnosperm. So in gymnosperm seeds are formed for the first time, but the seeds are not covered by the ovary. So seeds are naked. That's why they are called naked seeded plants. So these naked seeded plants are nothing but gymnosperms. Okay. So body is well differentiated. You can see through root system, through stem, leaves, branches are very clearly visible in the gymnosperms. But if the root system is present, you don't find a taproot system. Normally fibrous root system is going to be present here. Okay. So examples I have written: Cycas, Pinus, and you can remember one more example, Neetum. So the Cycas, Pinus and Neetum are the examples for gymnosperms. Next, angiosperms. Once again, combination of two words. Angion means vessel. Sperma means seed. So what are angiosperms? These are the plants in which seeds are enclosed in a vessel-like structure. So the seeds are enclosed by the vessel. What is the vessel once again? It is nothing but the ovary. So seeds are not naked here. So seeds are always covered by the ovary wall. Ovary wall only develops into what? Fruit wall. So that's why angiosperms are the first plants and higher plants which developed the habit of formation of flower also. So that's why if you ask me, sir, what are angiosperms? My answer is these are the flowering plants. So flower is the reproductive organ of the plant, right? So after the fertilization, ovary present in the flower develops into fruit, and inside the ovary what are present? Ovules are present, and those ovules develop into seeds. But seeds are always covered by a vessel-like structure. That vessel-like structure is nothing but the ovary. That is the meaning of this name, angiosperms. Okay, so angiosperms are the higher plants or the flowering plants. Most of the plants what you see now, you can see a mango tree, you can see eucalyptus tree, you can see coconut tree, papaya tree, whatever it is. So most of the trees fall under the category of what? Angiosperms. They are the flowering plants. And finally, in angiosperms, once again we classify them into monocot and dicot plants. We call them monocotyledonous plants and dicotyledonous plants, and simply we can call it monocot and dicot. So monocot, name itself indicates the seed having a single cotyledon. When the seed is having a single cotyledon in it, that is called monocot. For example, if you take maize seed, can you make it into two equal halves? It is not possible. Maize seed is entirely made up of a single structure, and that structure is called cotyledon. When the entire seed is made up of single cotyledon, such plants are called monocot plants. Dicot, name itself indicates seed contains two cotyledons. You can take groundnut. If you take groundnut, you can make groundnut into two equal halves. What does it mean? There the seed is made up of two cotyledons. That's why such plants are called dicot plants. So flowering plants or angiosperms are further classified into what? Monocot plants and dicot plants. What do you mean by a monocot plant? The plant whose seed is made up of a single cotyledon is called monocot plant. What is dicot plant? Plant whose seed is made up of two cotyledons. Okay? Best example you can take here for monocot plant is maize. For dicot plant we can take any example. Take groundnut only, and some important differences you should remember. In monocot plant what happens? Root system is different from monocot plants to dicot plants. In monocot plants the root system is called fibrous root system, and in dicot plants what is present? Tap root system is present. So that's why maize, if you take the maize plant, you can easily pull out the maize plant because roots do not penetrate deep into the soil. But if you take some groundnut, consider mango tree, whatever, you cannot pull it so easily because root penetrates deep into the soil and it gives the branches. So in monocot plants, which type of root system is present? Fibrous root system. In dicot plants, which type of root system? Tap root system is present. And in monocot plants, if you observe the leaf, externally if you see a plant, if you want to find out whether it is monocot or dicot, you have to look into the venation. What is venation in a plant? The mode of arrangement of veins in the leaf lamina. So the mode of arrangement of veins in the leaf lamina is called venation. For example, if you are watching, you can see in coconut or in maize, if you see the leaf, venation is like this. Means within the leaf lamina you find lines, we call them veins. So veins are arranged parallel to each other, and this venation is called parallel venation. Okay, so parallel venation is present in monocot plant, but most of the leaves whatever you take, so how the venation would be? The main midrib will be like this, then you find many branches coming out of this, then the branch like this further. these form a network in the leaf lamina, and this is called reticulate venation. So reticulate venation is the character of dicot plants. Parallel venation is the character of monocot plants. In monocot plants, which type of root system is present? Fibrous root system. In dicot plants, taproot system is present. So monocot and dicot are the plants belong to which category of plants? Angiosperms. Angiosperms are the higher plants, or I can call them flowering plants. The structure called flower appeared for the first time in angiosperms. They are the higher plants or flowering plants. So this is all about the information related to the plant kingdom. What are plants? Tell me. These are the eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms which can perform the process of photosynthesis, by which they can synthesize their own food materials. That's why based on mode of nutrition, plants fall under the category of autotrophs.